Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Badges to Briefcases. I'm your host, attorney Brandon Gans. Remember to follow us on all our socials at Gans_law and subscribe to us on the YouTube channel. In today's episode, we have a very special guest, retired Sergeant Michael Alexander. He has 30 years of service with the Ocoee Police Department. During his career, he's worked in patrol, traffic enforcement, criminal investigations, and as a sergeant. He became certified as a speed measurement, radar, and LiDAR instructor in the late 90s and has been teaching law enforcement officers since 2002. Today, he continues training officers from across the country in speed measurement, traffic enforcement techniques, and his extensive experience makes him one of Central Florida's leading experts on radar and LiDAR technology. So welcome to the show, Sergeant Michael Alexander. Welcome.
Thanks, Brandon. Happy to be here.
Yeah, glad to have you on. It's been a while. We've been trying to get you on the show. Also with us, we've got my co-host, attorney Ian Wise.
Morning, everyone.
Who also is a prior law enforcement officer, also was certified to run speed measurement device, right?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So I got the two perfect guests for this topic today. So Mike, let's start with you. First of all, just tell us a little bit about your background, your law enforcement career, and how you became a speed measurement device instructor.
I was did 30 years and with Ocoee PD. So when I started back in 1993, during our field training program, we had a traffic phase, and the officer who I was assigned to had a radar, and we would pull. He had to do all the work with the radar, and I would just write the tickets based on his probable cause for the speed. And I thought that was like the best thing ever. Then when I was on my own, I went to the radar operator school so I could run radar by myself. I was on the traffic unit, loved working the radar, and then laser came out, and then I went to the instructor school, and here we are.
Not to date you, but like what year was that?
I went to the instructor school probably around 90, 98-ish, 99-ish.
Okay, so you've been doing this for quite some time.
Yeah.
All right. How many officers do you think you've trained throughout your career?
Easily the thousands, probably at least 4,000 or 5,000 people, because I've been doing it for 20 plus years, and I've taught it 2 or 3 different places over the years. So probably on an average year, I might go through 400 or 500.
Wow. And
officers.
These are, all the people you're training are current law enforcement officers?
Correct. Most of the time they're Central Florida. So there's a cop in Central Florida who went to speed measurement. They more than likely had me as their instructor.
You taught me when I came to Florida.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. So Sergeant Alexander was, Ian's instructor as well. So that's pretty cool. We all have that connection. So what certifications, if any, are needed to teach those devices?
So to teach it, you have to go to a separate instructor school. So to be a speed measurement operator, it's a 40-hour school. And then to be an instructor, the first criteria is you'd have to have been an operator for at least 3 years. And then you have to go to the separate instructor school, which is 40 hours. And then you have to go to that's just to certify you for the radar and the laser. But then to actually instruct it to other officers, you also have to attend an 8-day instructor techniques class, which is just a general Florida police officer instructor class.
Okay, wow. So there's a lot more in addition to just the basic class that officers have to take.
Correct. And
that in of itself is a 40-hour class. And then you have to, wait 3 years? And then
correct. So 40-hour class, wait 3 years. And then you have to take a 64-hour class and another 40-hour class to be the instructor.
Wow, very good. So at this point, you are a true expert on this topic.
I think we could say that.
Yeah. So explain to our viewers, what's the difference between radar and LiDAR?
All right. So I give this analogy when I talk in class. Everybody drives. So you may drive a gas-powered car, or you could drive a Tesla. You can get the same driver's license. You can drive a Tesla, you can drive a gas-powered car. But if you bring your car to a mechanic, you bring your gas-powered car to a mechanic, they're going to fix it a certain way. But if you take your Tesla back to the mechanic, it's a completely different technology. That's kind of the difference between a radar and a laser. The radar, without getting too technical, the radar sends out radio waves that bounce off the cars, and the laser sends out light waves that bounce back off the car. So they do the same thing at the end, but they're totally different technologies that have nothing to do with each other. Just like a gas engine and an electric motor in your car, you can drive it, get to the same spot, but the way it does it is completely different.
Okay. And Ian, I'm sorry, you had to say.
I think another important difference for our viewers is when you're using radar, you really have to pay attention to what you're seeing, because the radar is not target specific.
Correct.
Whereas a LiDAR, you're looking through a scope, one specific point. You know exactly what the reading's coming back from.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And when you say not target specific, can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, so if you're sitting there using the radar and there's 3 vehicles coming toward you, depending on the size, the shape, the distance, the relative speed, you're going to get stronger signals from one or the other. And that takes a little more effort because you have to think about what you're seeing, and you have to be trained in visual estimation before you can use it as well. Use your visual estimation to match up with what you're seeing. But if a motorcycle is going faster next to a big box truck, you might see the speed, but you're going to get a stronger tone from the box truck.
Okay, interesting. So what you're saying is laser pinpoints on one vehicle and radar shoots out more like a, would you say a cone, or how would you describe it?
Yeah, radar, picture like an ice cream antennas that what shoots out the radar. It kind of sends out a picture. If you put a flashlight out at night in the fog and you see that, how that circle goes out, that's how the radar beam goes out. So whether you're driving in your patrol car or sitting outside the road, when you put that radar beam out, it actually, every car that it picks up, it inside the radar, it's getting a speed for every car, but it's going to show you one speed, which is the strongest signal.
Interesting. So 2 different types of technology that work essentially, it was sometimes in the same way, sometimes in other ways, but is there why, I guess my question the viewers might want to have is, why do we have these 2 different types of devices? Why not just pick one and go with it?
Some agencies do. Some agencies have both. Radar is, you can use radar in moving mode, and you can't use laser in moving mode. So in radar in moving mode, as long as there's, we're going to get a little sciencey, as long as there's relative motion between 2 cars, and the one car is like a police car with a radar, that police car can pick up the speed of the other car. So if the cars are heading towards each other, and like if I'm driving, I can pick you up as you come towards me. And then when you pass me, I can pick you up as you are going away from me. Or if I'm here and the car is in front of me, if the car is pulling away from me, or if there's a car coming up fast behind me and I have an antenna in the back of my car, I can pick you up in any direction. Laser can only be done while you're stationary. So I have to be on the park someplace, either shooting a laser out my window or standing outside the car. So laser has a little limitations compared to the more, you can use radar more places.
Okay, so it sounds like for our viewers, our limitations on both. The laser is pinpointing a single vehicle, but you have to remain stationary. You can't use it while you're moving.
Yes.
Radar you can use while you're moving, but could also pick up other vehicles within that cone. Is that, so it sounds like maybe there's pluses and minuses to each one?
Yeah.
Is there one that's maybe more accurate than the other one?
They're both accurate. It's the radar takes a little more work from the operator. You have to be, part of the training is, it's a 40-hour training course, and we spend 2 days of 16 hours where we spend doing practical exercise, where we're outside practicing estimating. Because in Florida, the rule for either radar or laser, before the officer does anything with the device, they have to make a visual estimate. So basically the state says you're trained as an officer to make a visual estimate, and you have to be within 5 miles an hour. So I still, even though I've been retired for 2.5 years, I still teach the class, but I don't have a radar in my personal car when I drive around. When I'm driving down the road, when I see a car coming the other way that's speeding, my radar brain will automatically tell me that car's going 68. And then I still will look for the radar that doesn't exist in my personal car, because I had a radar on a patrol car.
You're basically a scientific instrument at this point.
I've had a radar on my patrol car for like 20 years, so I still can't break that habit.
Yeah. You're probably pretty accurate, I'd imagine.
Pretty good.
Yeah. So some of our viewers might want to know, how far away can an officer be and still clock your vehicle? Is there a distance limit?
The furthest I picked up a car, I had a laser on a tripod, and I picked up a semi-truck about a mile away.
A mile away?
But I couldn't make a visual estimate. So the way the Florida rules are, I have to make a visual estimate first, and then I confirm it with my radar.
Where on earth were you that you clocked him for a mile? How did you see it?
Just like out on East 50, you can see, it's a long straightaway a mile away.
Because a laser, you need a direct point of view.
Correct.
You can't have any
So
obstacles.
there was a semi-truck coming, and there was no other cars, and the red dot on the laser sight was bigger than the truck that far away. So there was no way to make a visual estimate. We were just practicing.
Does the laser tell you how far the vehicle is?
So it was just over a mile. It'll tell you in feet how far.
So that's how you knew that it was a mile. Yeah, laser had a read
5,300 something feet away. But you can't make a visual estimate that far away. Realistically, the radar will pick up a car if there's no other traffic. You'll pick up a car up to a mile away, but you can't make the visual estimate. Realistically, you're looking at maybe just past about a quarter mile, a little past a quarter mile is about when you can really start to make a visual estimate.
Right. Probably depends on your training and experience too.
Again, and if it's a motorcycle, they're harder to see. If it's a semi-truck, I might be able to see the semi-truck at a half a mile, better make a visual estimate than a motorcycle a half mile away is a little dot.
Right. Forgive me if you already answered this, but between radar and laser, is there a difference in the distance that they can pick up, or are they the same? They can pick up the same distance?
Pretty much about the same.
Okay.
As long as if there's a clear line of sight, they'll pick it up.
All right.
There are other things that can interfere. If it's a windy day and there's debris blowing around,
Yeah.
that's going to interfere more with the radar. If you're passing by businesses that have things that are moving back and forth, if it's raining, it's going to be bouncing off of everything in the air and giving you different readings. But that's where the operator comes in to match what they see and the clear tone. And it can still be used in those situations. It's just the range is going to be limited.
Sure.
Right, so the radar is going to show you the speed of what it perceives as the strongest signal. So I've had my car been parked on the road and there's no cars coming up. If a bird flies at my car, it'll pick up that bird real quick.
That's
But-
radar.
Correct, the radar. But if there was a car coming towards me and I was clocking the car and that bird flew in front of me, it would never pick up the bird
And that's because
because the car is the stronger signal. The car is much bigger. It's moving at a higher speed. So if there was a truck coming towards me and a bird flew in front of my car, the car is the bigger signal.
so that'd still be an accurate reading.
Yeah, it'd be an accurate
Okay.
reading.
Interesting. Well, that's why the training's so important. And
Yeah,
the knowledge of-
that's why we spend 3 days in the classroom going over how everything works, and we spend 2 days outside practicing.
When you practice, what do you practice on?
We're all in plain clothes, and we're in unmarked, just a regular rental car SUV, and we'll just drive on the side of the road, and we'll park on the side of the road, and we set up some lawn chairs, and we clock cars.
Sounds like
and
fun.
practice.
Me and you experienced that.
Oh, yeah. A slower speed and a higher speed.
Yeah, we'll usually park someplace. We get to give the officers experience and everything. We'll park someplace where the speed is like 35, 40 miles an hour, and we'll do that for a day, and then part of the next day we'll go out on East Highway 50 out towards Titusville area with long straightaway, speed limit 65, and we'll get lots of people going fast out there.
So you'll clock them going fast. They're speeding, but you
Yeah.
guys aren't writing tickets.
We're not writing tickets. No one in the class is certified except for the instructors, and
Yeah.
I'm retired, and the other instructors are outside their jurisdiction. So
Right. And you're sitting in lawn chairs.
we're just sitting in lawn chairs. So we do get some good speeds.
Yeah, I bet you do.
Yeah.
Definitely. So we always have people ask us too, when they come to us with speeding tickets, oh, how could the officer have clocked me? He was going in the opposite direction. He wasn't even traveling the same direction as me. How's that possible?
Well, again, the radar picks up relative motion. So if let's say I'm driving north and the other car is driving south, the radar knows how fast I'm going, and it picks up the relative motion between me and the car coming
So how does the radar know how fast you're going?
towards it. It sends out a signal that bounces hits the ground, and it bounces back. So it knows I'm moving, and it says, okay, you're going 50. And then it picks up what's called the closing speed. So as I'm coming towards if I'm going 50, and then the radar picks up, it doesn't tell me directly how fast this car is going. It has to do a little math. So now it says, oh, your closing speed is 120. Well, if I'm going 50, the radar knows I'm going 50. The radar does some quick math and goes, okay, 120 minus 50 is 70. That car is going
So the
70.
radar does the math for you.
Correct.
You're not trying to do quick
No, and it
calculations.
shows up on it has you have a little display screen. It'll show you the target speed and your patrol speed.
Interesting. So that takes out some possibility for human error, I suppose. You're not
And
doing
then-
the math.
Ian said, and we talked about the officer has to make a visual estimate. So the first thing I have to do when I'm driving is I see that car, I have to make a visual estimate. And I would tell you that car's going 73. And then beep, the radar would show 70. I'm within my 5. So that's, I call it the checks and balances. So I made my visual estimate. That was good. The radar, it's called Doppler radar. That's just Doppler's the guy who came up with the theory back in the 1800s. He was a scientist, and it's named after him. So we call it the Doppler tone. And the higher the tone, the higher the pitch of the tone is, the faster the car. And after you do radar, even after the first couple of days, you hear that tone. It's like a car going 30 and a car going 80 have very distinctively different tones. So the tone matches the speed. So I have to make sure that the tone matches the speed. And then as a third check and balance, I have to make sure that if my patrol speed says I'm going 50 on the radar, I have to look at my speedometer and make sure that my speedometer matches my patrol speed.
Wow.
So
Lots to be
there's a lot of checks and balances to make sure that we're clocking the right car. Because we
absolutely.
train people and officers to be 110% sure that the speed I got is the car that I was looking at, because we don't want to come in a scenario where we pull over the wrong car.
Sure. And so you're not only making a visual estimation, but so you're visual, but you're also auditory. You're listening for a tone.
Yes.
Okay.
The whole combination of things. And if the officer doesn't have, if everything doesn't line up, you don't pull that car over. You wait for the next car.
And so how does the tone change like when speed is accelerating or going higher?
I'm tone deaf, so my noise here is not, but it's like, whoop, it just goes up. So if you clocked a car from 0 to 80, it would be a very lower pitch tone, and it would just consistently that tone would just whoop, go right up.
So the higher the speed, the higher the tone?
Yep.
And the Doppler effect is actually the same reason that race cars sound different when they're coming towards you and going away. You know, so if you ever watch NASCAR, I'm not a fan, but I've seen it before. You know, the cars are approaching, they get louder, 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 higher, 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 higher. They pass me and it gets kind of softer and lower. And that's the technology that's used for the device. Yeah.
Wow, fascinating. Very cool. Well, for NASCAR fans know that. Maybe.
Or if you're waiting for a train or you're watching traffic go by.
Yeah, anything. So you answered the question about like the clients ask, you know, how they clock me if they're going the opposite direction. But sometimes they'll also ask me, well, I was behind the officer, so how could he use the radar if he's facing forward? I'm behind him. He can't even see me. Is that possible?
It is possible. So I had for years what was called a dual antenna radar. So I had an antenna in the front that could get cars going out the front, and an antenna at my back window. So as I was driving, if I look in my mirror and I say I know I'm going the speed limit of 45, and I look in my mirror and I see this car rapidly approaching, catching up to me, well, I wouldn't have to be a math or a scientist or a radar operator to know if I'm going the speed limit and the guy's catching up to me, he's clearly going faster than the speed limit. So I could look in my mirror, I can make an estimate of that car's speed, and I just push a button on my remote to flick to that rear antenna, and it'll get that car coming up behind me, and 65. Pull over, let the guy pass me, and here we go.
Yeah, so it's perfectly reasonable. It happens all the time.
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah, that's what
that's kind of more of a less common. More common is the opposite. I'm driving towards you and I turn around after you, but it happens.
I mean, if you're approaching a marked police car and passing those, probably
you would be surprised. I've had people pass me in a marked police car. So yeah,
well, I guess it happens. Yeah,
it does happen.
Okay, so let's go over some speeding ticket myths. So Ian, I'll just start with you. Is it true that if you're driving with traffic, you won't get pulled over if you're speeding?
That's not true at all.
Okay. But I was going with traffic, man. Come on.
So the legal defense of other people who are doing it is never a valid defense. If you're going over the limit, going over the limit. And one of the lesser known laws, is my personal pet peeve, is when people are in the far left lane going the speed limit, thinking that they're doing the right thing. The law actually requires you to not be in that lane unless you're passing or preparing to turn. It doesn't matter what the speed limit is. Get off your high horse. Get out of that lane. It's illegal and it's unsafe.
Yeah.
Sounds like you're speaking from
experience. I've pulled people over and they've given me what about everybody else? And I would have a little analogy. I would ask them back. I go, have you ever been fishing? And they go, yeah. I go, did you ever catch all the fish?
At the same time?
Can't catch everybody. I got you.
Do they understand that? Or?
Sometimes people just kind of, I call it the puppy dog look, where people tilt their head sideways and don't get it. And then we just move on.
Sure. Yeah, exactly. Can radar ever be wrong?
The radar is a computer, just like any computer. There can be things that affect it. So I hate to say that the radar is wrong, but as Ian mentioned before, there's some things that can affect it can affect the radar and maybe show a number that's not right. But it's the training of the officer is going to kind of overcome that. Like there's a particular example. It's called shadowing, and it's just it's a technical error. So if normally when you drive your patrol car, the radar points out, goes to the ground, bounces back, tells you how fast you're going. Sometimes for a reason, it's more happens if you're on a highway and you get behind a semi-truck. Instead of bouncing off the ground and telling you your speed, the radar thinks the semi-truck is the ground.
Yep.
So let's say if I'm going 60 and the semi-truck's going 40, well, if my radar hits the ground, it's going to tell me I'm going 60. But if the radar hits the truck, it's going to think I'm going 20, because the relative motion or the difference in our speed is I'm going 60, the truck's going 40. So now my patrol speed is going to show 20. And I might not catch that at first. Now that 40 miles an hour, the way the radar is configured, it has to do the closing speed. So basically if you have a math equation and I do something to one side of the equation, the opposite effect happens on the other side. So I took away 40 miles an hour from the truck speed. That number has to go someplace. So it's going to go to the violator speed. So now let's say there's a car coming the other way and he's actually going 70. The radar will show a speed of 110, but there's those checks and balances. The officer has to make a visual estimate. So now I'm driving. First thing I do, I make a visual estimate. Hey, that car's going 72. Now I'm expecting the radar to show within that, right? Now the radar says 110. I'm like, what? I look back at the car. There's no way that car's going 110. That's my first clue.
Yeah.
And my second thing is the Doppler tone. The Doppler tone is going to be for 70, not 110.
And you know the difference.
And I'm going to know the difference. And then my third check and balance.
Hey everyone, today's episode ran long. We had so much good content to provide you, so stay tuned for part 2. You're not going to want to miss it.